The underground parking garage smelled like motor oil and desperation. Jessica's hands gripped the steering wheel so tight her knuckles went white. 8:52. She had 8 minutes to park, sprint to the 42nd floor, and not destroy her one chance at stability. Then she saw it. A perfect space near the elevators. Level 3. She exhaled, flicked her turn signal, and started to pull forward. The black Mercedes came from nowhere. Sleek, predatory, sliding into her spot like it owned the world. Jessica sat frozen. Then something inside her snapped. She threw the car into park, blocking the Mercedes, and stormed out. The driver emerged, all 6 feet of him, dark hair perfectly styled, wearing a charcoal suit that cost more than her rent. His eyes swept over her, amber and unreadable, like she was barely worth the glance. "That was my parking spot," Jessica said, her voice shaking with fury. He raised one eyebrow. "I don't see your name on it." "I had my turn signal on." "You saw me." "I saw an empty space. I took it." "That's how parking works." Jessica's breath came faster. "That's the most selfish thing I've ever heard. You just take whatever you want without thinking about anyone else?" Something flickered in his expression. "Too fast. Gone." "I'm in a hurry," he said. "Find another spot. Lower levels have plenty. I've been circling for 10 minutes. I'm late for my first day at a new job. A job I desperately need. But I guess that doesn't matter to someone like you. Someone who probably has everything handed to him." He studied her, those amber eyes holding hers for one beat too long. "Someone like me. What do you think you know about me? I know you drive a car that costs more than most people make in a year. I know your suit probably requires dry cleaning that costs more than my grocery budget. And I know you think you're entitled to whatever you want, whenever you want it." For half a second, something like hurt crossed his face. Then it vanished. "You should move your car," he said, voice cold now. "You're blocking traffic." Jessica looked around the empty level and laughed bitterly. "What traffic?" "Nevertheless. You're in the way." He turned toward the elevators. The dismissal in that movement, the way he walked away as if she didn't exist, made her voice rise. "I hope you're late. I hope something important gets ruined because you couldn't show basic human decency. And I hope someday someone treats you exactly the way you just treated me." He paused. Looked back over his shoulder. For 1 second, his expression softened. Then his jaw tightened. "Good luck with your new job," he said. The elevator doors closed on his face. Jessica stood there, trembling, her phone reading 8:58. 2 minutes. She ran. 3 levels down. Found a space. Sprinted in borrowed heels and a too-tight pencil skirt to the 42nd floor. Made it at 9:03. The conference room went quiet when she entered. A blonde woman with a perfect bun smiled without warmth. "You must be Jessica Starling. So glad you could join us." Jessica slid into a chair, face burning, as the woman continued her presentation about Starling Industries. Company policies. Expectations. Excellence. "Now," the woman said, "let's talk about our CEO. He took over 5 years ago. Brilliant. Demanding. Expects perfection from everyone." She clicked to the next slide. "I'd like you to meet your new boss." The image filled the screen. His face. Those amber eyes. That jawline. "Everyone, please welcome Dominic Sterling." The room spun. Jessica's hands started shaking. She'd just told off her billionaire boss. Called him selfish and entitled. Wished failure on him. Patricia kept talking, but Jessica couldn't hear anything over the roar in her ears. The door to the conference room opened. Dominic Sterling walked in. His eyes found hers immediately. Held them. His expression revealed nothing. "Good morning," he said, voice smooth as steel. "Welcome to Starling Industries. I hope you all had no trouble finding parking." Jessica felt her world collapse. Dominic Sterling stood at the head of the conference table, his presence filling every corner of the room. Jessica kept her eyes down, studying her trembling hands, praying he wouldn't recognize her. "I believe in second chances," he said, his voice cutting through the silence. "But I don't believe in third ones. Excellence isn't optional here. It's required." He moved around the table slowly. Jessica could feel him getting closer. Her heart hammered against her ribs. "Ms. Starling." She looked up. His amber eyes locked onto hers, unreadable and intense. "Yes, sir. I trust you found your way here despite the parking situation." The room felt like it had no oxygen. "Yes, sir. I apologize for being late. Apologies are cheap. Results matter." He paused, something flickering in his expression. "Come to my office after orientation. We need to discuss expectations." He walked out, leaving Jessica drowning in panic. 2 hours later, she stood outside his office on the 43rd floor. Glass walls. Skyline views. A door that felt like a guillotine. She knocked. "Come in." Dominic sat behind a massive desk, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, looking over documents. He didn't glance up when she entered. Closed the door. Jessica's hands shook as she obeyed. The click of the latch felt final. "Sit." She sat. For a long moment, he said nothing. "Just read." The silence stretched until Jessica thought she might scream. Then he looked up. "You meant what you said. In the garage." It wasn't a question. Jessica's throat went dry. "I shouldn't have spoken to you that way. It was unprofessional." "That's not what I asked." His eyes pinned her in place. "Did you mean it?" She met his gaze. Something reckless rose in her chest. "Yes." A ghost of a smile touched his mouth. "Good. Everyone else in this building is terrified of me. They tell me what they think I want to hear. You told me the truth. I didn't know who you were. Would it have mattered?" Jessica thought about that. About her mother's medical bills. Her empty bank account. The desperation that brought her here. It should have. But honestly? Probably not. This time he did smile. "Real. Brief. Devastating. You start tomorrow. Executive floor. My assistant is going on maternity leave. You'll shadow her for 2 weeks, then you're on your own." Jessica's head spun. "Mr. Sterling, I was assigned to the secretarial pool. This is a promotion I haven't earned. I decide what you've earned." He leaned back in his chair. "You have a business degree from Northwestern. You graduated summa cum laude. You've been working 3 jobs to pay off student loans while caring for your sick mother. You're overqualified for the secretarial pool. How do you know all that?" "I read your file. I read everyone's file." His expression shifted, became something darker. "You're right about one thing, Ms. Starling. I am used to getting what I want. And what I want is someone who isn't afraid to tell me the truth. Someone who sees me as a person, not just a name on a building." The way he said it made Jessica's chest ache. Behind the expensive suit and perfect face, something lonely looked back at her. "Why me?" she asked quietly. "Because you already hate me. Which means you have nothing to lose by being honest." "I don't hate you." His eyes darkened. "You should. Everyone does eventually. What happened to you?" The question hung between them. For a moment, she thought he might answer. Then his expression closed. Report to the executive floor at 7 tomorrow. Don't be late, Miss Starling. Jessica. My name is Jessica. He stood, moved to the window, his back to her. Against the skyline, he looked like a king surveying his kingdom. Alone at the top. Jessica, then. Her name and his voice did something to her pulse. I'll see you tomorrow. She stood, moved toward the door. Her hand on the handle, she paused. Mr. Sterling? Dominic. She turned. He was watching her reflection in the glass. I'm sorry. About what I said in the garage. No, you're not. He finally faced her, and something raw flickered in his eyes. That's why you're dangerous. Jessica left, her heart racing, knowing she'd just stepped into something far more complicated than a job. Behind her, Dominic pressed his palm against the cold glass and closed his eyes, fighting the first crack in walls he'd spent 5 years building. 6 weeks later, Jessica knew 3 things about Dominic Sterling that nobody else did. 1. He took his coffee black at 6 in the morning and barely touched it after noon. 2. He had nightmares. She'd heard him on late-night calls, voice rough, saying he was fine when he clearly wasn't. 3. He was falling for her the same way she was falling for him, and they were both pretending it wasn't happening. It was midnight when Jessica finally finished the merger documents. The executive floor was empty except for the soft glow from Dominic's office. She knocked. Come in. He sat at his desk, tie loosened, hair messed from running his hands through it. He looked exhausted and beautiful and human. Hanover merger is ready for your signature, she said, placing the folder on his desk. You're still here. So are you. He smiled. That rare, real smile that made her forget how to breathe. Go home, Jessica. Not until you do. Stubborn. Pot, meat kettle. He laughed, and the sound filled something hollow in her chest. Sit with me. Just for a minute. She should have said no. Should have maintained professional distance. Instead, she sat in the chair across from him. Why do you do this? She asked. Work yourself to exhaustion. Because if I stop, I have to think. His eyes met hers. And thinking is dangerous. What are you running from? For a long moment, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, my father built this company from nothing. When he died, everyone expected me to fail. To prove I was just a spoiled rich kid playing businessman. He paused. Sometimes I wonder if they were right. They weren't. How do you know? Because I've seen you. The real you. Not the CEO everyone's afraid of. The man who remembers his employees' birthdays. Who donated anonymously to the night janitor's daughter's surgery. Who works 18-hour days because you actually care. Something shifted in his expression. Hunger. Hope. Fear. Jessica. Her name was rough in his mouth. We can't do this. Do what? Pretend this is just professional. Her heart stopped. Started again, faster. No. We can't. He stood, moved around the desk. She stood too. They were inches apart now, the air between them electric and dangerous. I'm your boss. This is wrong. I know. You should transfer. Work somewhere else in the company. I know. Jessica. His hand lifted, almost touching her face, then dropped. I can't offer you anything good. I'm broken in ways I don't know how to fix. I don't need you fixed. I need you honest. He closed his eyes. The truth? I think about you constantly. I find excuses to need you in my office. I memorize the way you take your coffee and the sound of your laugh and the exact shade of your eyes when you're angry. He opened his eyes. And it terrifies me because everyone I've ever cared about leaves or dies or destroys me. Jessica's throat tightened. Dominic. The door burst open. Marcus Blackwood, Starling Industries CFO, stood in the doorway. Tall, silver-haired, distinguished. Dominic's mentor and father figure since Richard Starling died. Dominic. We need to talk. His eyes flicked to Jessica, cool and assessing. Alone. It's fine, Jessica said. I was just leaving. She walked past Marcus, feeling his gaze follow her. Something about his smile made her skin crawl. The next morning, Jessica arrived to chaos. Employees clustered in groups, whispering. Security guards moved through the building with purpose. Patricia from HR intercepted her at the elevator. Mr. Starling needs to see you. Immediately. Dominic's office felt different. Cold. His expression was ice when she entered. Marcus stood beside him, triumphant. Ms. Starling, Dominic said, voice flat. We've discovered a security breach. Confidential merger documents were leaked to our competitor. Documents you had access to. Jessica's world tilted. What? No. I would never. The IP address traces to your computer. Marcus held up a tablet. Time stamped at 2 a.m. last night. After you left. That's impossible. I went straight home. Can anyone verify that? Marcus asked smoothly. She lived alone. No, but... Jessica. Dominic's voice cracked like a whip. Did you leak those documents? She looked into his eyes and saw nothing. No warmth. No trust. Just cold suspicion. Something broke inside her. You actually believe I would do this? Evidence doesn't lie. But I would. That's what you're saying. Her voice shook. After everything, after last night, you think I'm capable of betrayal. I think everyone is capable of betrayal given the right price. His jaw clenched. What did they offer you, Jessica? What was your loyalty worth? The words hit like physical blows. You don't know me at all. Apparently not. Marcus cleared his throat. We'll need to involve the authorities. No. Dominic cut him off. Jessica, you're terminated effective immediately. Security will escort you out. If you stay quiet about this, we won't press charges. But if you fight us, you'll destroy me. I understand. Jessica's hands were shaking. I understand perfectly. She turned to leave. At the door, she stopped. You were right about one thing, Dominic. Everyone you care about does leave you. She looked back at him, tears burning her eyes. But not because of them. Because of you. Because you're so terrified of being hurt that you destroy people before they get the chance. His expression cracked. Just for a second. Jessica. I loved you, she whispered. And you chose to believe I betrayed you without even asking why I wouldn't. She walked out. Behind her, Marcus placed a hand on Dominic's shoulder. You did the right thing. Cutting out the cancer before it spreads. Dominic stared at the door Jessica had just walked through, his chest hollow, wondering why victory felt like dying. 3 weeks of silence. 3 weeks of Jessica working double shifts at the diner again, watching her savings evaporate, avoiding calls from her mother's hospital about overdue bills. 3 weeks of Dominic throwing himself into work, pretending he didn't see Jessica's face every time he closed his eyes. The truth arrived on a Tuesday. Dominic sat in his office at midnight, staring at Marcus's resignation letter. Retirement, it said. Effective immediately. After 30 years of service. Strange timing. He pulled up the security footage he'd been avoiding. Watched Jessica leave at 11:47 p.m. the night of the leak. Watched her car exit the garage at 11:52. Then he watched Marcus enter at 1:47 a.m. Watched him go to Jessica's desk. Watched him sit at her computer. The file transfer timestamp, 2:03 a.m. Dominic's hands started shaking. He pulled up Marcus's financial records. Found the offshore accounts. The payments from Titanium Corp., their biggest competitor. Payments dating back 6 months. Long before Jessica ever walked into his building. Oh God. The words came out broken. What did I do? He found her address in her personnel file. Drove to her apartment through rain that matched the storm in his chest. 2nd floor. Peeling paint. A far cry from his penthouse. He knocked. Once. Twice. The door opened. Jessica stood there in old sweats, hair in a messy bun, eyes red like she'd been crying. When she saw him, something died in her expression. No, she said, and tried to close the door. He caught it. Jessica, please. I know the truth. Good for you. 3 weeks too late. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. Marcus framed you. He'd been selling information for months, and when you found those documents, he panicked. He used your computer, made it look like you. I know what he did. Her voice was hollow. I've known since the day you fired me. That stopped him. How? Because I'm not an idiot, Dominic. I figured it out in about 20 minutes. I even hired a cybersecurity expert with money I didn't have to prove it. She laughed bitterly. But you'd already decided I was guilty. You'd already chosen to believe the worst of me. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please, Jessica. Let me fix this. How? You think a paycheck fixes what you did? You think money erases the fact that you looked me in the eyes and called me a traitor? No. I know it doesn't. He stepped closer. Rain dripped from his hair. But I'm begging you. Tell me how to make this right. You can't. Her eyes filled with tears. You broke something that can't be fixed. I told you I loved you, and you threw it back in my face. You chose fear over faith. And now you want forgiveness because you have proof? What about trust, Dominic? What about believing in me when you had no proof at all? Every word was a knife. He deserved each one. You're right. About everything. I'm terrified of being hurt, so I hurt people first. I'm so scared of ending up alone that I make sure I will be. His voice cracked. My father died when I was 25. Heart attack. At his desk. Working himself to death because he didn't know how to be anything else. My mother left when I was 10. Said she couldn't handle the pressure of this life. Every relationship I've ever had fell apart because I'm too damaged, too broken. So you decided to break me instead. No. I decided to prove I was right. That everyone leaves. That love is a lie we tell ourselves. He looked at her, really looked at her. But you didn't leave, Jessica. I pushed you away. I'm the one who failed. Not you. Never you. Silence. Rain hammered the windows. My mother died, Jessica finally said, voice barely audible. 2 weeks ago. Pneumonia. The hospital called while I was at work. At the diner. I didn't make it in time to say goodbye. Tears streamed down her face. I couldn't afford the funeral. Had to have her cremated. No service. No headstone. Nothing. Dominic felt something break open in his chest. Jessica. You want to know why I didn't fight the accusation? Why I just walked away? She looked at him with eyes full of agony. Because I had $20,000 in medical bills and no job and no way to pay them. Because fighting you meant lawyers I couldn't afford and time I didn't have and exposing everything to the media. She took a shaking breath. So I made a choice. I let you destroy my reputation to protect my mother's memory. To keep her medical situation private. To avoid having our story become tabloid trash. You sacrificed yourself. I sacrificed us. The tears came harder now. I had proof you were wrong, Dominic. Proof that would have cleared my name and destroyed Marcus. But using it meant exposing confidential medical records. Meant revealing how broke I really was. Meant everyone knowing I was working 3 jobs because my mother had Alzheimer's and her insurance wouldn't cover the care she needed. Dominic moved without thinking, pulled her into his arms. She fought for a second, then collapsed against him, sobbing. I'm sorry, he whispered into her hair. I'm so sorry. About your mother. About everything. I don't deserve forgiveness but I'm asking anyway. She pulled back, looked up at him. Why are you really here? Because I love you. Because I'm an idiot who threw away the only real thing in my life. Because I'll spend the rest of my days trying to earn back what I destroyed if you'll let me. Love isn't enough. I know. He cupped her face gently. But maybe it's a start. Jessica closed her eyes. When she opened them, something had shifted. Marcus is gone. Retirement. But I have everything. The offshore accounts. The communications with Titanium Corporation, evidence of corporate espionage going back months. He paused. I'm pressing charges. He'll go to prison. Good. Her voice was steel. And the Hanover merger? Fell through. Cost us $300 million. What are you going to do? Dominic smiled, and it was sharp. Rebuild. Prove that Starling Industries is stronger than one corrupt CFO. He looked at her. With you. If you'll come back. As your assistant? As my partner. 50-50. Equal shares in the company. Your name on the building. Jessica stared. You're offering me half your company. I'm offering you everything. Because that's what you gave me, and I was too scared to see it. His thumb brushed away her tears. I don't expect you to say yes. I don't even expect you to forgive me. But I needed you to know, you were right about me. I am terrified. I do push people away. But I'm done running. If you'll give me a chance, I'll spend every day proving I can be the man you believed I was. Jessica's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her face went white. What is it? She showed him the message. From an unknown number. A photo of them through her apartment window. And words that made his blood run cold. Stay away from Starling, or your mother's medical records go public. Every humiliating detail. Think about her memory before you make a mistake. Marcus, Dominic breathed. He knew, Jessica whispered. He knew that was my weakness all along. Dominic looked at her, saw the fear and exhaustion and grief. Saw her about to choose again. About to sacrifice herself again. No, he said firmly. Not this time. This time we fight together. He'll destroy everything. Let him try. Dominic pulled out his phone. I have lawyers. Resources. Power. Everything you needed 3 weeks ago and I didn't give you. His eyes burned into hers. Let me be what you needed then. Let me stand with you now. Jessica looked at him for a long moment. Then she took his hand. Okay, she whispered. Together. Outside, thunder cracked. And Marcus Blackwood watched from his car, phone in hand, realizing he'd just made a fatal error. He'd given them a reason to unite. The press conference was set for noon. Every major outlet in Chicago waited in the Starling Industries lobby, cameras ready, sensing blood in the water. Marcus's threat had backfired spectacularly. Within 48 hours, Dominic's legal team had built an airtight case. Corporate espionage. Wire fraud. Blackmail. Enough charges to put Marcus away for 20 years. But the cost was everything. Jessica stood in Dominic's office, looking at the statement his lawyers had prepared. Clean. Professional. It exposed Marcus without dragging her mother's medical history into the light. It cleared her name without revealing the depths of her struggle. It was exactly what she'd wanted 3 weeks ago. "You don't have to do this," Dominic said quietly. He stood by the window, the morning light catching the shadows under his eyes. He hadn't slept in days. "We can settle quietly. Keep this out of the media. Protect your privacy. And let him get away with it." "He won't get away with anything. He'll still face charges. But we can control the narrative. Keep your mother's story private." Jessica set down the statement. "You'd do that? Give up the public victory to protect me?" "In a heartbeat." He turned to face her. "I failed you once. I won't do it again." She crossed to him, took his hands. They were shaking slightly. This powerful man, this billionaire CEO, was trembling because he was terrified of losing her again. "I have a better idea," she said. "What if we tell the whole truth? What if we talk about the medical debt crisis? About how the system fails people? About how I had to choose between my job and my mother's dignity?" "Jessica, that's asking you to relive." "I know what I'm asking of myself." Her voice was steady now. Strong. "My mother spent her last years ashamed of her condition. Hiding it. Pretending everything was fine because admitting she needed help felt like failure. Tears welled but didn't fall. What if her story helped someone else? What if speaking out means one less person has to make the choices I made?" Dominic searched her eyes. "You're sure?" "I'm terrified. But I'm sure." He pulled her close, pressed his forehead to hers. "Then I stand with you. Every word. Every revelation. Whatever comes. Even if it costs you. Especially then." At 11:55, they walked into the lobby together. Hands clasped. United. The cameras flashed like lightning. Dominic spoke first. Laid out Marcus's betrayal in clinical detail. The offshore accounts. The stolen documents. The frame job. His voice never wavered. Then Jessica stepped forward. "I need to tell you why I didn't fight back immediately," she began. "Why I walked away when I was accused of something I didn't do." She told them everything. Her mother's Alzheimer's. The medical bills. The 3 jobs. The impossible choice between clearing her name and protecting her mother's privacy. The sacrifice. The grief. Cameras clicked. Reporters scribbled. The room was utterly silent. "My mother's name was Ellen Starling," Jessica said, voice breaking now. "She was a librarian. She loved mystery novels and terrible puns and making people feel seen. She deserved better than what our healthcare system gave her. She deserved better than what I could afford. And she deserved better than dying alone while I was serving coffee because I'd lost the job that might have saved us both." Dominic's hand found hers. Squeezed. "But here's what I learned," Jessica continued. "Silence doesn't protect you. It just lets the people with power write your story. Marcus Blackwood counted on my silence. On my shame. On me being too afraid or too poor or too broken to fight back." She looked directly into the cameras. "I'm done being silent. I'm done letting fear win. And I'm done pretending this system works for people like my mother and me." The questions came like a storm. Jessica answered every one. Dominic stood beside her, his presence steady and unwavering. When it was over, they rode the elevator in silence. 43 floors up. The doors opened. The executive level was empty. "That was either the bravest thing I've ever seen or the most reckless," Dominic said. "Maybe both." He turned to her, and his eyes were molten. "I love you. I should have said it weeks ago. Should have trusted you. Should have fought for you. But I'm saying it now. I love you, Jessica Starling. Not because you're perfect but because you're real. Because you see me. Because you're brave enough to be vulnerable when I'm terrified of it. I love you too." She cupped his face. "But I need you to understand something. I'm not going to make you whole. I'm not going to fix your scars or erase your pain. That's your work to do. I know. And I'm a mess. I'm grieving. I'm angry. I'm scared. I have debt and trauma and issues I haven't even begun to unpack. I know that too." He smiled. "We're a disaster. The worst. But maybe we're a disaster together." Jessica kissed him. Slow and deep and real. When they broke apart, they were both breathing hard. "So what now?" she asked. "Now? We rebuild. The company. Ourselves. Everything." He took her hand. "As partners. Equal shares. Your name on the building. Your voice in every decision. Starling Industries has a nice ring to it. Or Starling. We'll fight about it. Probably." He grinned. "I'm looking forward to it." 6 months later, Jessica stood on the rooftop terrace of Starling Industries. The sun set over Chicago, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber. Below, the city hummed with life. Behind her, the building that bore her mother's legacy alongside the man she loved. Dominic joined her, wrapped his arms around her waist. The Ellen Starling Foundation approved its 100th grant today. Medical debt relief. Alzheimer's research. Caregiver support. Mom would have loved that. She would have loved you. Jessica leaned back against him. They'd had hard days. Therapy sessions where they both cried. Fights where they had to relearn how to trust. Moments when the past tried to drag them back down. But they'd built something real. Messy and imperfect and worth fighting for. "Do you think we made the right choice?" Jessica asked. "Going public. Risking everything." "Yes." No hesitation. "Because we did it together. Because we chose truth over safety. Because your mother's story helped change legislation. Because Marcus is in prison where he belongs. Because we're here. Here is pretty good. Here is everything." Jessica turned in his arms, looked up at the man who'd stolen her parking spot and her heart in the same morning. The man who'd broken her trust and spent 6 months earning it back. The man who was still learning to believe in love. "Thank you," she said softly. "For what?" "For being brave enough to try. For standing with me. For proving that sometimes the people who hurt us most are also the ones worth forgiving. You made me believe I was worth saving," Dominic said. "That's a gift I'll never stop being grateful for." They stood there as the sun sank below the horizon, two scarred souls who'd found something unexpected in a parking garage confrontation. Not a fairy tale ending. Not perfect or simple or easy. But real. And sometimes, real is enough. Far below, the city lights began to sparkle. A new night. A fresh start. Together. The end.